Look, assholes, I am saying is that I am tired of beefy chunks.
But we talked and talked about this. I don't understand how you can do such an about face on this issue. Last time we talked about beefy chunks you were so excited I thought you were gonna wet yourself.
Just because you thought I was gonna lose control of my bladder and spray urine everywhere doesn't make it true. You know how fucked up my bladder is. I sent you pictures of my medical procedure. I haven't taken a decent whiz since.
But what does that have to do with beefy chunks?
Because I am sick and tired of getting all pumped up to pee thinking I am gonna piss thunder and the only thing that comes out of my pee thing is a pathetic girlish trickle.
Look, my friend. I'm trying to feel your pain. But I told you I lack the ability to feel physical or mental pain. My mother says it happened when my daddy kicked her down a flight of stairs when she was pregnant with me. That was just before he moved back to Iran. Even after I was removed by C-section a week later and ripped her uterus wide, I plopped out without a single cry.
Isn't that how she died?
No. She died in a boating mishap. So the doctor slapped my bare ass hoping to get a human response from me but got nothing. Later he claimed that looking into my blank eyes disturbed him so much that he tossed me into the air and ran screaming from the operating room.
He must have been a communist.
No, he was a Capricorn. But luckily a nurse caught me. Later that same nurse became a raving psychopath claiming she couldn't remove my afterbirth from her exposed flesh, no matter how much she washed.
You told me that story last, beefy chunks. Wasn't she sent to an insane asylum? And didn't she finger herself on camera in order to seduce a Negro security guard? Didn't she convince him to smuggle a wire brush into her cell he had stashed in his anal cavity?
Yes, and in return the nurse would blow the security guard and tell him how tasty his throat babies were, but after he left she'd spit his load into the trash. Then she'd take out her wire brush and scrub her naked torso.
Didn't she wind up marrying that guy?
No, they never got the chance. One night the guard came by eager to plug her white throat and slipped on her blood that had seeped under the cell door.
See, that's what I am talking about, Ace. Swear to Christ I can't handle no more beefy chunks.
The black security guard slipped on the crazy nurse's blood and his enormous skull split open like a watermelon dropped from a 10-story building.
Didn't she use to call you late at night?
Only once, and that was to tell me she'd given up speaking. Then for years she sent me scathing letters written in her own feces blaming me for all her problems. She had since become addicted to afterbirth, and then wrote to me in apologetic tones begging me to send her more afterbirth hidden inside baked goods.
You do bake a mean pie, Ace. I've always toyed with the idea of starting a pie company with you. But every time I bring up baking you bring up beefy chunks. Can you start talking about crazy nurses and security guard blowjobs and communists? Next thing I know my sutured ladder gets all tingly.
But the last time we did beefy chunks you were so proud the way you acted like a schoolgirl getting her first period.
Nothing personal, but you won't change my mind this time. I am afraid we have reached the end of beefy chunks road. But don't just think of it as an end. Think of it as a birth.
Exactly, my friend. Did I ever tell you the story of when I was born, and that screaming doctor from Iran fell down a flight of stairs?
No. No more nurses. No more afterbirth. No more security guards fathering throat babies in mental institutions. No more beefy chunks.
But I got the saw all fixed up and ready to fly. The blade is sharp enough to split a
I don't care, Ace. There has to be more to life than beefy chunks. Now if you please excuse me, I am going to hit the head and urinate violently. And if I go in there thinking thunder and alls that comes out of my pee thing is a girlish trickle, then believe me you won't wanna make beefy chunks ever again.
Come on. One more time. Just do beefy chunks with me one more time. Then we'll part ways, if that's the way you want it. What do you say?
Oh, alright. One more time, but that's it. Now get this already while I go pee. Oh, and whatever happened to that nurse?
She eventually found Christ, but then denounced Christianity upon her release from the asylum. Last I heard she worships television, and has become a wealthy florist in New Mexico.
New Mexico? Isn't that the place with the circular license plates?
No, that's Houston. But when you get back you won't be sorry. This will be the best beefy chunks ever. I know because last night I had a dream where everything on earth turned to beefy chunks. It was an infinity of beefy chunks in all directions.
Sorry, miss, but I really gotta be.
I woke up a massive hard-on, which always means my dream will come true. Now go piss thunder, my friend, and when you return I will tell you the story of a security guard at a hospital and how he fell in love with afterbirth.